And with people becoming conscious of themselves, determined to use their minds, you do not know to what extent they can go. Because the time has come for the black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own.
It's always a good time to reflect on the teachings of Marcus Garvey, don't you think? Hi there, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for making it Jamaica Magazine. Today we're all about things Jamaican, from a festival legend to our champion farmers. It all unfolds right now.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Thursday, June 11. The European Union has committed 118 million euros in investment support for Latin American and Caribbean nations. The commitment came on Wednesday at the start of the two-day EU-CELAC summit in Brussels, Belgium. The European Commission says the combination of loans, grants and other financial operations will seek to enhance transatlantic cooperation. The support will center on the transport, energy and environmental sectors of the community of Latin American and Caribbean states. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller is leading Jamaica's delegation at the summit. On Wednesday, she continued her engagement by holding bilateral talks with Sweden's Prime Minister. She also sought to strengthen Jamaica's bilateral relations with Spain during a meeting with that country's Prime Minister on Thursday. Prime Minister Simpson Miller left the island on Sunday and returns on June 13. Until then, Minister of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change Robert Pickersgill is in charge of the government. As the Ministry of Health heightens its surveillance activities in preparation for the Zika virus, special attention is being paid to air and sea ports. Director of Health Promotion and Protection Dr. Sonia Copeland made that disclosure at a JIS think tank on Wednesday. She said the ministry was in the process of commissioning the second of 2 fever scanning machines for the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. Other preparatory work is also underway.
In terms of our preparation, we have stepped up the vector control activities. We have designed frequently asked questions. These are flyers and brochures for wide distribution. We have also brought in our laboratories, and they have indicated to us we are preparing to increase our capacity in country to be able to identify and to diagnose and confirm the Zika virus.
Debate on the proposed changes to the Road Traffic Act got underway in the House of Representatives this Tuesday. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing, Dr. Maurice Guy, opened the debate to overhaul the 1938 Road Traffic Act and regulations.
Since the promulgation of the Road Traffic Act and regulations in 1938, there have been phenomenal developments in the design of motor vehicles, thus rendering various descriptions and requirements contained in the legislation obsolete. Additionally, in its present form, the Act runs counter to current trends and development in the automobile industry.
Among other things, the Road Traffic Bill 2014 removes provisions relating to public passenger operation to the Transport Authority Act to bring this information under one piece of legislation.
This bill seeks also, Mr. Speaker, among other things, to 1, empower the Island Traffic Authority, which has portfolio responsibility for the regulations and control of traffic on roads.
That includes the power to issue suspension notices where maximum points have been accumulated against a driver's license. The bill also provides for new categories of driver's licenses and demands that drivers must have their licenses in their possession at all times while operating a motor vehicle. Issuing of renewal licenses will only take place where all fines for offences are paid. The Road Traffic Bill 2014 also calls for increased fines for traffic offences. The Education Ministry has launched a series of televised programs called G4 Genius to help students prepare for this year's Grade 4 Literacy and Numeracy tests. The Grade 4 Literacy test will be held on June 30, while the Numeracy test will be done on July 1. The G4 Genius video lessons show revision tips and techniques through storytelling involving children and adults. The literacy lessons are on writing and reading comprehension, while the numeracy lessons are on place values. This year's sitting of the Grade 4 Literacy test is critical, as this is the target date for the country to achieve the Millennium Development Goal of 85% of the Grade 4 age cohort achieving mastery of literacy. The country is presently 7.6 percentage points below the target. Students, parents, and teachers can access the literacy and numeracy revision lessons every Monday and Wednesday 5 to 5:30 p.m. on 20 cable channels that transmit programs by the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica, PBCJ. The literacy and numeracy video lessons will also be available on the Ministry of Education's website at moe.gov.jm. And finally, several new events are planned for this year's Emancipation and Independence activities from July 31 to August 6. Youth and Culture Minister Lisa Hanna made the announcement at this week's launch of the festivities. The new events include island-wide festival floats and street parade, and the Festival Bandwagon, which is a mobile showcase of the best talents from the parishes in the performing arts. Minister Hanna says the activities, which are being held under the theme Proud and Free Jamaica 53, will be diverse, appealing, and attractive to a wide cross-section of the society.
Each community and rural township is expected to come alive. We're expecting to see town squares and villages, plazas, and public parks colorfully decorated.
Business places and offices are encouraged to decorate their buildings in the national colors. Several competitions will also be held around the independence theme. Another new feature is the marketplace, where Coronation Market will be brought uptown to Hope Road. The celebrations will kick off with a national church service on July 26. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
On another June 11, 68 years ago, Jamaica gave birth to one of its most beloved entertainers.
This is the land of my birth. I said this is the land of my birth.
From his hometown in St. Catherine, Eric Donaldson would later take the national stage, penning the hits that would earn him the moniker Mr. Festival.
Oh, cherry, oh, baby. Don't you know I'm in need of thee? If you don't believe it's true, what are you left for me to do?
That first festival-winning entry in 1971 remains one of Donaldson's most popular recordings and has been covered by the likes of mega groups The Rolling Stones and UB40.
Cheerio, baby. Don't you know I love you?
He entered the world on June 11, 1947, and went on to create some of Jamaica's most memorable tunes, which continue to find appeal among fans at home and abroad.
Eric Donaldson is uniquely and undeniably Jamaican. The same can most certainly be said of the Denby Agricultural, Industrial and Food Show. It's now 63 years running and as important as ever. The torch was lit on June 4, starting the final countdown to this year's show. Here's a sneak peek of what you can expect come July 31.
It is the oldest, largest, and most dynamic agricultural show in the English-speaking Caribbean.
It's a time when we showcase the best of Jamaica's agricultural produce, livestock, and innovations.
Denby Show will celebrate its 63rd anniversary on July 31st to August 2, 2015. On the Denby Showground in Maypen, Clarendon, the theme Grow What We Eat, Eat What We Grow is supported by the sub-theme of the Ministry of Agriculture, making agriculture sustainable.
This call to action for all Jamaicans is no more relevant than ever as we continue our drive for sustainability within the sector and strive towards reducing our large food import bill.
This year, the show is being celebrated as one of the events earmarked for the JAS 120th anniversary. Thus, we are aiming for an ambitious 120,000 patrons to attend the show over the 3 days. We have decided to keep the admission at $800 for adults and $300 for children. We are projecting that this year we should generate revenues in the region of $75 million with an estimated cost to stage the show of $65 million. The surplus or the profits from this year's event will again be reinvested in the development of the showground in our quest to have the venue used on an all year round basis in our march to develop a Dembi city on the 52 acres of land. The JUTC will be having services from Kingston and Portmore daily, leaving from 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. to the showground, and they will be returning 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. from the showground. We're also examining other locations, and we're having discussions with Knutsford Express and with Juta Tours as well, as we try to see if we can move persons in a coordinated way. It will be the Governor General's Day and the Youth Day, a National Farm Queen coronation. Will be the Minister of Agriculture Day, and we have Digicel and Stars and the ambassadors. The Prime Minister's Day, and that's the Jamaica Broilers Gospel Show in the evening. So it will be packed with activities, and each evening we'll be having entertainments. The patrons will once again be given the opportunity to experience the Dembi Up concept and other traditional displays. We have like fish will be on along with other medical practitioners who will be doing free health checks at Dembi. The Green Up being coordinated by Joan with a focus on organic food and healthy soil in recognition of this year's Global Year of the Soils. And this year, we're adding the Business Clinic, which is a new feature. We have the Registrar of Companies and a number of other agencies who will be in one place to share with those who come to Dembi who want to start their own businesses, how to start from the formation of companies into the areas of sourcing of funds and also operation.
We look forward to hosting visitors from the Caribbean, North America, and other overseas territories.
So it will indeed be an international show. The car displays will be there as usual, and the farmers market with a big emphasis to grow what we eat and eat what we grow, but also to ensure that for that weekend, persons can come to the Dembi show and shop and get the best agricultural produce, certainly at great prices. there will be a special emphasis on the livestock display. The competitions, which we look forward to as JAS and RADA members and farmers, will also be big. We invite all Jamaicans to be a part of the 63rd staging of the Dembe Agricultural and Food Show as we work to enhancing the Grow What We Eat campaign movement, the lives of our farmers who continue to work every day to feed our people.
Let us meet at Dembe 2015 to have one grand celebration.
So Denby 2015 is gearing up to be another exciting showcase of what our farmers can produce. But one of the biggest threats to the success or the very staging of Denby is climate change and its ability to stunt or wipe out agricultural production. One of several interventions to help farmers deal with this is now in its second phase. Take a look at why it's so important and just some of what's been achieved so far.
The Rio Minnow watershed in Clarendon, Jamaica is home to Jamaica's longest river, the Rio Minnow, which is approximately 93 kilometers. In the upper section of the watershed lives Farmer Blair, who along with many farmers make a living by growing a wide range of crops including cabbage, callaloo and peppers. However, farming in this area is not without its challenges. Farmers in the watershed have to confront the direct and indirect impacts of climate change. Rainfall is the only source of water supply for the farmers in this area. But based on climate projections, these farmers might be in for a rude awakening due to changes in the rainfall pattern and the increased frequency of drought. Take, for example, this pond, which is normally 20 feet deep. It has now been reduced to a mere 5 feet because of drought.
Warning, warning, warning. Climate change is happening. We got to do something, no doubt. To the world, we're calling out.
It's like a gambling when we farm, when the rain is, because we have excess rain, long rain. Whenever it's dry, we have long drought.
So right now you don't even know when to put in whatever to put in the soil, in the crop, the crops. It's hard to predict.
Because even 3 years back, this time we couldn't even have tractor on this land. Because we'll be getting, as you see, May step in, rain, rain, rain. May, June, you know, we always get a lot of rain. But you know, for the past 2.5 years or stuff like that, just like this.
I tell you, when we have drought, I have a pond that I pump water from to wet the farm, and whenever that pond is dry, then we have to pump water from the big lake here to fill those ponds. And it is really costly.
Recently, you know, I have this pepper crop that was nice and flourishing and things like that. And then I come and we get this few days of hard rain. If we wash the water, wash and things like that, and they just quail down. Right now that crop is out.
The experiences of farmers in the Rio Minnow watershed are common to that of most farmers in Jamaica. This is because, like many other small islands in the Caribbean, Jamaica is highly vulnerable to climate risks.
It touches and concerns every ministry. And in fact, one of the things we are going to do is to advocate that there is a a budget line in each ministry that is making provisions for climate change.
Over the last 12 years, the country has been impacted by 11 storm-related systems, which have caused severe damage and losses to the economy. The effects of climate change on communities like these in the Rio Mino watershed have to be understood and addressed in order to build the resilience of Jamaica. This is exactly what the pilot program for climate resilience seeks to do. Jamaica is one of 6 pilot countries in the Caribbean benefiting from the pilot program for climate resilience. The others are St. Lucia, Dominica, Haiti, Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
There are 3 objectives to the pilot program for climate resilience. There are 1, improving the quality of climate information for decision making at the national and local levels. 2, mainstreaming climate change adaptation in development planning. And 3, improving access to climate financing for micro, small and medium enterprises and for non-governmental organizations at the community level.
This type of programmatic approach or integrated approach presents an avenue for financial institutions like the Inter-American Development Bank in collaboration with other partners to help countries address the impacts of climate change.
We're really excited about what the pilot program for climate resilience has done for Jamaica's climate change adaptation program. One of the things that we really want to highlight is the fact that the network for meteorological services has been greatly enhanced. We have been able to install 20 automatic weather stations to improve the collection and management of climate data, to downscale regional climate models for Jamaica, and we can tell you what Jamaica's climate is likely to be up to 2080.
It's a critical element of our work on climate change within the region, and we want to be able to replicate, to scale up across the country, even across sectors.
Bless up, bless up, bless up. Farmers in the Rio Mino watershed and the other areas of Jamaica can now breathe a sigh of relief because they will not be left on their own to deal with the impacts of climate change. Now they can collaborate with the IDB and the government of Jamaica. Through programs like the Pilot Program for Climate Resilience, Jamaica is fast becoming the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
So, climate change notwithstanding, Jamaica's farmers are making the land work for them. And in return, we here in the island are enjoying what can only be called the food of champions, literally.
The Jamaicans are running away with the event. Can Trinidad and Tobago take the second spot? Asafa Powell, Jamaica, gold, 37.10. World record!
Born and fed in Jamaica, homegrown athletes sustained by the foods of the soil, enriched to reach international heights of glory.
This is a fabulous moment in Jamaican and Caribbean track and field history.
An agricultural sector steeped in a tradition of excellence, ripe for expanded production, energized to tap into new markets. A nation of champions. Food. For most, that probably means the broad label for just about every edible item we humans consume. Now, Jamaicans fully agree to this, but in the lingua of the island, food is also a specific term for the side dishes that accompany the main course of Jamaican meals. You might also hear them called ground or grung provisions: yam, potato, sweet or Irish, dasheen, cocoa, cassava, and others that are staples of the island's agricultural output. Farmers, supported by government and strong private groups, plant and harvest these crops for the discerning Jamaican consumer and a reliable export market. As the world marvels at the lightning speed of the likes of Usain Bolt and Veronica Campbell-Brown, many have asked, is it in the food? Perhaps the yellow yam?
969.
When we roast the yellow yam, when we roast the yellow yam, and we slice it in a two, and we slice it in a two.
The skin is brown, sometimes black, and some say scaly. Peel away the outer layer and get to the heart of its starchy goodness. There you'll find fulfillment and a taste that is as distinctive as the indescribable talent of our trailblazing athletic stars. More importantly, in the heart of our yams are essential nutrients for healthy living: vitamins C and B6, potassium, manganese, fiber, and iron. These nutrients converge in several varieties of the Jamaican yam, a tuber with off-white, purple, white, yellow, and sometimes red flesh, depending on the variety. For every type of yam, there is a uniquely Jamaican name, like Renta, Yampi, Moonshine, or Afu. Whatever the name, they're all edible, just so long as you cook them first. And with thousands of acres of fertile land, yam production is an island-wide vocation in Jamaica. But you might be surprised, or not, to know that the most popular yam-producing parish, Trelawney, is also the home of the world's fastest man.
Corrected to 969. The relax. Usain Bolt. Tremendous running by this man.
Daylight come and me want go home. Work all night.
From jerk to curry recipes, Jamaican cooking is all about the spices, sourced right on the island. With the support of the state entity responsible for managing all things agricultural, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Jamaica's spice producers are on the verge of stamping a bolder mark on the competitive international industry, with many programs unfurling to increase the production of traditional spices like ginger, turmeric, nutmeg, and pimento, and non-traditional spices such as hot peppers and onion. And the possibilities are bountiful. Take ginger and turmeric, for example. Both grow with relative ease almost anywhere on the island. Global trade in turmeric has been trending up, and so have prices. As for Jamaican ginger, it has long been considered among, if not the best in the world. Jamaica is a tiny giant in the world of agro-processed foods. Island producers are dishing out big, unique flavors, employing ingenuity and utilizing the support of state agencies to steadily eke out more of the international market for these goods. Whether your delight is tea, coffee, or maybe cocoa, Jamaican value-added producers have carved out a reputation for delivering only the best. Jamaica is known for its lush landscapes, revered for its music, celebrated for its track stars, and the world is hooked on our coffee. And it's hardly surprising. The species of choice in the Jamaican coffee industry, Arabic coffee, is widely accepted as producing the far superior cup. And Blue Mountain is the brand best loved by coffee connoisseurs from near and far, commanding high prices wherever it's sold. So, what's your delight? Whatever it is, Jamaican farmers and end producers are uniquely and creatively positioned to deliver. In this land of wood and water, champions are not just made for the tracks, they're also found in the fields and in the shopping carts of discerning consumers the world over.
Enjoy yourself in your homeland. A little more. I and I roll queen. Go rubber dub it. Wanna I will lick a scene.
So, this is where the story ends, but only for a while. Another exciting magazine is released tomorrow. In the meantime, see what else we have to offer on the JIS website and YouTube channel. Chat with us on Twitter and via email. On behalf of the ever hardworking production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Please, heed the Ministry of Health's advice and search your homes for places where water settles. Eradicating mosquito breeding sites is the first line of defense against the Zika virus and other mosquito-borne diseases. Keep safe and see you next time.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.